I'm Dan Metcalfe. I'm a microbiologist with a PhD in oral biofilm therapy. This was awarded in 2003, which was around the same time that biofilm was being proposed to be an issue in wound care. I'm Associate Director of R&D at Comatec, with a remit across all Comatec's business areas. However, my focus tends to be in wound care, where infection and biofilm is a huge clinical challenge today. My story starts with a walk in the countryside in September. A few days later at work I was taken really ill, and I went home and noticed a bite mark on my shin, which soon developed into full-blown cellulitis. I found myself in hospital on intravenous antibiotics and was rather unwell for a time. Thankfully the drugs worked. Unfortunately my leg was something of an afterthought, and although I was sent home after a week in hospital, my wound was in a poor state. It was clearly colonised still. There were smells. As a microbiologist, I knew there was colonisation by Pseudomonas. I was sent home to receive dressings in the clinic and from district nurses. The wound continued to deteriorate, such that 1 week later the wound was black, it was smelly, oozing, and my partner was rather distressed at my state. We returned to hospital. Unfortunately, I was taken straight to the orthopaedic unit, and the surgeon said the wound was too far gone and how I required a surgical excision and a skin graft. This obviously upset my family, but I was willing to consider a second opinion, so I, at this stage, encouraged a friendly nurse to dress me in AQUACEL AG Extra, which a colleague from work had brought to me. So we used AQUACEL AG Extra on this necrotic wound, and the hope was that we could reduce bioburden and perhaps shift the status of the wound. Within 24 hours, there was a remarkable change in the wound. There appeared to be differentiation between the bad necrotic, infected or colonised tissue and my healing tissue. In my opinion, the moistened dressing dramatically reduced the bioburden in the wound, encouraged autolytic debridement, and shifted the battle in my favour. The next day the surgeon came by and was rather surprised at the progress and agreed to postpone the operation for a day. I was still on nil by mouth at this time, but I also agreed with my colleagues here at Comatec that I could have a tissue viability nurse from GDC visit me for assessment. This was the very same day that Comatec received 2 awards at the World Union of Wound Healing Societies in Florence. Unfortunately, I was due to be at this award ceremony, and doubly ironically we won 2 awards. The first was for the Infection and Biofilm Award, which was recognition of our background science around the product. We also won the Most Innovative Dressing Award at the same ceremony. So the irony was not lost on me that I was suffering from a serious wound infection, but was now being treated with AQUACEL AG Extra, the award-winning dressing. The next day, David Nelson from Comatec came in. Luckily he was trained to operate there, so he proceeded to debride my wound and was delighted with the appearance of the wound beneath this necrotic colonised tissue. And over the next 3 days the wound was transformed. Every day we redressed in moistened AQUACEL AG Extra, and a second debridement session at the end of the week led to the decision to let me go home. So not only was a surgical excision and a painful skin graft avoided, tremendous costs on the NHS were avoided, and I was sent home in a healthy, happy state to recover fully. Within 10 days I was back at work. Who knows how long I would have been off if I'd have undergone this operation. But for me this experience is testament to the power of this new dressing we've developed at Comatec. It's now my job to further publish the data, the clinical data, the scientific data on this product, so that other patients can benefit in the same way I did, and we can reduce the burden on healthcare systems and the burden on our patients. My leg is now healthy and feeling good, albeit scarred. I'm in no doubt that this AQUACEL AG Plus dressing shifted the battle in my favour. Who knows where I'd be today if I'd have undergone this operation. I'd been left with 2 wounds rather than 1 healthy leg. Firstly, we do have the dressing technology in AQUACEL AG Extra. It's grounded in the science. Secondly, we have evidence for this product from the early laboratory, in vivo and clinical data we generated for product launch, to the more recent clinical evaluation studies and mode of action data we published in the last year. The evidence is all there. The challenge is for us, myself as a scientist, for our commercial colleagues to get the message out there, to educate the nurses, the physicians, the healthcare assistants, to inform the decision makers that this dressing will truly transform patients' lives.